Kyle Tucker has officially become a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers. The moment the news broke, the baseball world froze. Because once the contract details came out, this was no longer just another massive free agent deal. This was a turning point. Kyle Tucker turned down the Toronto Blue Jays, an offer with more years and more guaranteed money. He turned down the New York Mets, an offer with similar present value and the full weight of a massive media spotlight. Instead, he chose the Los Angeles Dodgers, signing a shorter contract with a historically unprecedented average annual value. At first glance, fans everywhere asked the same questions. Why the Dodgers? Why join the so-called evil empire? And what does this do to competitive balance in baseball? But when you look at this decision through Kyle Tucker's eyes, it starts to make a lot of sense. Because Kyle Tucker has never been a spotlight chaser. He's not a quote machine. He doesn't hunt headlines. He's not someone who wants to explain himself to the media after every series. He's quiet. He's efficient. He does his job, and then he goes home. Los Angeles might be the best possible destination in baseball for that kind of player. With the Dodgers, Tucker doesn't need to be the face of the franchise. He doesn't need to absorb the full weight of media pressure. He doesn't need to speak for the team when things go wrong. The clubhouse is already filled with global superstars who naturally attract all the attention. For a player like Tucker, that isn't a drawback. It's freedom. Then there's the uncomfortable truth that many fans don't like to admit. The Dodgers just won back-to-back World Series titles. You can roll your eyes. You can hate it. You can argue that it hurts parity in the league. But from a player's perspective, opportunities like this are incredibly rare. Each roster has 26 players, and the percentage of Major League players who ever win a championship ring is far smaller than most people realize. So when a player in his prime looks at a team that already knows how to win, is still aggressively upgrading, and has a clearly defined championship window, it's hard to blame him for choosing that path. And we also need to be clear about what the Dodgers actually did here. In practical terms, they replaced Michael Conforto with Kyle Tucker. That's not a marginal upgrade. That's a massive leap in offensive production, consistency, and overall value. But the contract structure is where this deal truly changes the sport. For decades, free agency followed one dominant model. You get one shot to sign an 8, 10, or even 11-year contract, tying the rest of your prime to one city, one organization, one future you can't fully predict. Now, players are finally pushing back. Because long contracts aren't just risky for teams, they're risky for players too. Ask yourself this. If you're 28 years old, do you really know where you want to live at 38? Do you know how your body will feel? Do you know whether the front office, ownership, or organizational culture will still resemble what you signed up for? That's why we're seeing a shift. Shorter deals, massive average annual value, and multiple chances to re-enter the market. Kyle Tucker just took that strategy to its extreme. His annual salary doesn't just redefine the market, it detonates it. On a yearly basis, he now makes significantly more than Juan Soto. And this isn't loaded with accounting tricks or heavy deferrals. This isn't a contract where the money arrives decades later. Tucker's message is simple: pay me now. And the Dodgers can do it. Because they're not just winning on the field, they're printing money off it. Global branding, international markets, merchandise, media exposure. This organization isn't just running a baseball team anymore. They're operating a global sports brand. Even after accounting for deferrals elsewhere, Tucker's net present value still lands around $45 million per year, an elite tier that baseball has never seen before. This isn't just a win for Kyle Tucker. It's a win for every player who comes after him. Because once a number like this exists, the market can never go back. We saw the ripple effects immediately. After missing out on Tucker, the Mets pivoted to Bo Bichette within hours. Not because their plans suddenly changed, but because the price of elite talent had just gone up. What felt expensive yesterday suddenly looked reasonable today. That's what a true market reset contract does. For fans, this can feel exhausting. But for the sport itself, it creates tension, villains, and storylines. The Dodgers are hated because everyone wants to beat them, and that pressure forces the rest of the league to adapt, evolve, and keep up. And finally, let's bring this back to Kyle Tucker, the player. In this Dodgers lineup, Tucker doesn't need to be Superman, but he will be maximized. Better protection, more RBI opportunities, fewer pitchers willing or able to pitch around him. This won't shrink his star power. It will amplify it. People still argue whether Kyle Tucker is a star or a true superstar. But sometimes, superstars aren't born. They're positioned. And Kyle Tucker just placed himself in the perfect environment to make that final leap.